without further ado, I'm excited to welcome Natalie Ebel. Natalie is the Director of Marketing for Pencils of Promise. Natalie, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for the great intro.
Well, thanks for being here with us today. Now, I didn't go into any of your background, so please tell me, Natalie, where did you grow up and where did you go to school?
So I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and I went to school at the University of Missouri in Columbia. I studied marketing and art.
Marketing and art. And so did you always know that you were ready to start out and create this movement with Pencils of Promise, or how did you get to this space?
I guess 5 years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have never imagined that I'd end up here, but it really was quite serendipitous. I started my career in book publishing in Kansas City and worked for an art book publisher. Then moved to London for about a year and worked with another publisher over there. I landed in New York about 5 years ago, and I was working with Simon and Schuster. They're one of the largest publishers around. And then I heard about Pencils of Promise when I was working at Time Inc. I followed the story for quite some time. I knew that Adam had done some collaborations with Birchbox and Warby Parker, some of my favorite brands. And then last November, I heard that he was coming out with a book. With my background in publishing, I was able to snag an advanced manuscript of Adam's book. I read the story in one day, met with Adam, and since March, I've been here at Pencils of Promise. So it was a bit serendipitous, but really perfect.
Well, good. So you mentioned two important things in that story, which is around Adam and Pencils of Promise. So why don't you give, for those that don't know what Pencils of Promise or what it is or what you're addressing, give us the overview. What is Pencils of Promise?
Yeah, so POP, which you'll hear me refer to, it's just an acronym for Pencils of Promise. We're an international organization that was founded back in 2008. Our goal is to increase access to quality education for children in the developing world. There are currently 250 million children of the primary age that don't have access to education, and our goal is to change that. We create programs, global communities, and a goal of quality education for all.
Now, you mentioned Adam, so I have a picture on the screen right now, and I know that's him there in the middle. But tell me about Adam. He's the founder, right?
Yeah, so his story is really what started it all. We were founded back in 2008 by Adam Braun, who's in the photo here. Adam was traveling across the world and had a habit of asking every child in each country he visited, if you could have anything in the world, what would it be? The answer that stuck with him the most was when a boy in India answered a pencil. He realized then that there's this great need for education in the countries he was visiting. After that, he left his job at Bain, set out with a goal to build one school, which was $25,000, and he wanted to do this in honor of his grandmother. He did this by crowdfunding for his 25th birthday and dedicated it by throwing a birthday party. He hit on something really timely at this point. It was a desire for people to give in whatever increment they were comfortable with, and realized people, particularly millennials, wanted to get involved. So we started with one small act back in 2008, and now we're in 4 different countries and have built over 250 schools. We break ground on a new school every 90 hours, and we were really founded on the belief that where you start in life shouldn't dictate where you finish.
Interesting.
So oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. This is a photo here of Adam. This is the first school that he built for his grandmother in Luang Prabang, Laos, and next to him is our country director, Leslie.
That's great. So I love this next slide here, because one of the things that you've created, which I love, is this 100% for purpose type message. Give me a sense of what that means. What is that? What is that for purpose mean? And then secondly, tell us how that's really gone through the organization.
Yeah, so this is something that really differentiates us from a lot of organizations. Our for purpose approach, Adam has a business background, as most of us do here in the organization. And we really blend the head of a for-profit business with the heart of a humanitarian nonprofit. We rigorously measure the return on investment of every donor dollar we spend. We think that, joy and passion are great, but results, it's really what it's all about at the end of the day. We also have a 100% direct giving model. We know that donors rarely know where their money goes, and we set out to change this. So 100% of every dollar donated online goes directly to our programs. And my favorite stat here is that we have a 100% success rate. We don't just build schools and move on. We monitor and evaluate every project we undertake, and thus far, Pencils of Promise is fully operational and educating students daily. So all of our schools are currently running and operating at 100%.
Because this is a key piece that we probably have seen in the difference with a newer type organization. How old is Pencils of Promise now?
So we are 6 years old.
So in terms of the length of time that you've been in existence, this type of messaging, how has that helped, or has it hurt at all? I can't assume it can hurt, but how is that really helping your donors and constituents understand who you are and what you do?
Just how we've built the movement that we've built? Is that what you're asking?
Well, do you use this type of messaging consistently in everything that you're doing? And have you seen that type of messaging help you communicate your value?
Totally. I think that it's been really the foundation of our organization and our brand, which is positive and uplifting from day one, has really served as our main communication point to all of our donors, supporters, and everyone.
Excellent. And as you've seen some of the early days, and I'm sure Adam maybe have talked about those, has Pencils of Promise changed at all? And have you learned anything over the course of those years that you've been in existence?
Yeah, Pencils of Promise has really evolved a lot since day one. Let's see, if we could actually go to the next slide, I have some more information on this. So something else that makes Pop really unique is that we've been able to amass a huge audience of young people since day one. We feel that building a community starts from the foundation of an organization, and we were founded with just $25 back in the day. And again, this hit on something very timely with millennials, that no matter what dollar contribution, that everyone could be involved. So that last slide there, the one before the one we're looking at now, it says big dreams start with small and reasonable acts. And in our first couple years, 90% of our individual donations were $100 or less.
Really?
Which is huge if you really think about it. I mean, when you think about the cost of a school, it's $25,000, and that's a large number and really an unattainable number for a lot of us. But we've been able to create a movement by making this more accessible. So in 6 years, we've been able to build this massive community of over 500,000 supporters. And Pop did this by taking two big bets early on. The first was that social media would become really the fabric of our society. And the second was the rise of cause marketing. So early on, we didn't have a single major donor. So we focused on building an active and engaged community over digital that became the lifeblood of the organization. This community, who you're looking at a few of them now on the screen, has launched more than 35,000 personal fundraisers and really has been the core of Pop. So this is a snapshot of some of our supporters who wanted to build Pop schools in various ways. And something that's unique that we offer is once you build a school with Pencils of Promise, we take you on a 4-day immersive trip to visit your work on the ground, so you can see the people and communities that you've impacted. So in the top left here is one of our biggest supporters. His name is Joel Runyon. He ran a marathon to build his first Pop school, but since then has taken on a really ambitious project, the 777 project, where he plans to run 7 ultra marathons in 7 continents to build 7 schools. Really incredible. A lot of running. I know, right? And then in the picture next is Kennedy Donnelly. She biked across the country to build her school. Below is a college DJ who sold albums to build his school. And then on the right is Sophia Bush, and she asked for birthday gifts. Instead of birthday gifts, she asked for donations for her 30th birthday. So this has been the foundation of Pop since day one, all of these supporters, and they've really brought us to where we are now. Programmatically, we've changed a lot too. People know us as a school building organization, but we're really so much more than that. We don't just build schools and move on. We also have programs that ensure quality education after the school is built. So we have a scholarship program, a teacher training program, and also a WASH program to make sure students are staying healthy and in school. So
Natalie, what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Well, Natalie, why do you think everybody started to gravitate to it? I mean, in the early days, you mentioned social media was important, and I want to talk to you about some of the cause marketing that you've done. But in the early days, what was it that you were doing in social media that you think really helped you start that movement as well?
You know, from day one, we've always been really authentic and just true and open with our audience. I think that a lot of people could relate to Adam. He was 25 when he founded our organization, and he didn't have $25,000 to build a school, but he was able to involve his friends and realize that young people wanted to be involved no matter what dollar that they could contribute to an organization. So we don't just ask our supporters for dollars, we ask them for their voice, we ask them for involvement, we ask them to volunteer. And we've really been able to build this community, which on social we call our Pop Family. So you can look, there's a hashtag that we use, Pop Family, and it's really trickled throughout our whole community where we've just built this great support system.
In social media, is it common for you to ask your community to do things? And if so, what is it that they tend to do for you and with you?
Yeah, there are times where we've asked people just to donate their voice instead of asking for dollars. We are really careful that we don't ever hardly ask for dollars throughout the year. We have one campaign annually, and that's when we're asking our supporters to donate money, but the rest of the year we take it as a storytelling opportunity. A lot of our imagery has been core since day one. Nick Onken is a photographer that you see all of his pictures on these slides, but the imagery tells a story in itself. And that's been something that's been interesting to watch, that you don't need a lot of words and context to the image because the image says it all. So Instagram's been huge for us. We've grown over 110% the past 3 months. Our audience just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And again, we're always really uplifting and positive and letting people know about the great things that are happening rather than more of the sad story that we could be telling, but we don't.
You mentioned the second thing is cause marketing. Talk a little bit about what you've done in the cause marketing space that has helped contribute to this movement building.
Yeah, so we've been able to work with some really large organizations. They have CSR departments, and we have a great social following that we use as an asset with them. We partnered with Chegg last year. They're an online textbook company, and it was really the perfect partnership for one of our campaigns, which is called Back to School. So we did an online activation where we asked everyone online to share a photo for Throwback Thursday with hashtag Give Back to School. For every photo shared, it was so like I would share a photo of me in 3rd grade. And so every photo shared with the hashtag, Chegg donated $10. And this was incredible. We reached our goal. We built 2 schools in one day, and it was just incredible to see the participation. I think it was really successful because 1, people love sharing photos, and then 2, people love to be nostalgic, and we really brought them back to how it feels to be, a primary school student going back to school and just touching on that emotional point.
So in essence, you built the social media platform and following by getting people to share, participate, perform actions like volunteer or share your voice, and then leveraged that to generate support from corporations? Yeah, that's exactly been it. We have an incredibly supportive community that listens to us, and it's been a huge asset for us since day one. In the work that you do, imagery has to be king, because I suspect not all of your although you are bringing some people on these immersive trips, and not all 500,000 all of your donors are heading over to see their school per se. So what investments in imagery and video do you make on an annual basis that's been important to this movement building?
We try to send a photographer to a couple countries every year to just get a refresh on imagery. And then we usually create one annual video. This past year, we debuted our brand promise, which is everyone has promise. So we sent a video crew over to Laos to really capture the heart of that video. And this video was really special for us. As our programs and work has changed over the years, videos become dated, but our goal of this most recent video was to create a timeless piece, similar to what Apple did with their Think Different video. So it holds true to us today, 5 years from now, and even 20 years from now, when we don't know if we will be an exact school building organization, but we know that education will be the core of it. So I encourage you guys all to check it out. The video is called Everyone Has Promise, and it's on our YouTube page and our Vimeo page.
In terms of video or imagery, is there anything that you produced or done that hasn't had the highest rates of response that you thought would? Anything surprise you in that piece, or anything of the video or imagery you know that gets the highest one, or highest rates of response?
Yeah, so we've noticed, especially on Instagram, the highest engagement is always when we have children looking at the photo. Even if it's a big group of kids and they aren't looking, it's the ones where they're making eye contact with the camera where we see the highest engagement. And also, it seems that our audience is more responsive to girls than boys, but we see the increase, though, coming from the boys' side.
Yeah, and I have here on the right-hand side on the screen a picture. Obviously, this one looks like it did well.
Yeah. It did really well.
Good. And where are you, and what's your view about having your users or donors create their own video or pieces as well? Are you doing any of the community user-generated video content, or is it primarily from your end?
Well, everything that we promote on our channels comes from internal resources. But anything external, we have a lot of supporters that create fundraising pages on a platform called Stay Classy, where we encourage them to use their own photos, whether it's starting a pop club at the University of Connecticut and sharing photos of their meetings, or a video from their latest marathon and what they're doing to raise money for quality education. So we use those. It's almost like a Kickstarter, but for a school. That's how we kind of treat these branded fundraising pages, where we allow our followers to create a unique experience and a custom page that focuses on their goal of raising money for a school, scholarships, or teacher training.
Yeah, I know that one of the things you mentioned to me in conversation and as I was reviewing stuff is what I have on the screen here is really understanding the brand voice. Obviously, you have to lead that brand voice internally and externally. Talk a little bit about the brand voice and Pencils of Promise.
Yeah, so I think that, one, we're always authentic. We try to hold true to who we are. I've noticed some organizations can really be a little too polished and rehearsed when talking to their supporters. But we think that it's okay to be playful as long as we're sincere and it's never forced. So this photo here is a photo that we took for our 6th birthday, which was October 31st. Kind of an impromptu photo shoot, but our supporters love to see behind the scenes. And I think people that work for POP are really the core and the personality of the brand, and people always love to feel connected, behind the doors. We, again, never really ask supporters, except for one time a year, to donate dollars. We like to treat communication as a two-way relationship. It's always important to know your brand voice and stay true to it. At POP, we're playful, restless, proudly idealistic, and that tone, along with our brand promise, Everyone Has Promise, has been the foundational footing of our organization.
Good. And in terms of that success and movement building, how long did it take you to get from where you were to where you are now? I know the number of years, but was there a time when it was small, or what you would consider small, and really when did it start to take off?
I would say it took off 2 or 3 years ago. There was a campaign called The Impossible Ones, and we challenged people to do impossible things to have a great impact. So Joel Runyon, who I told you about, our ultra marathon runner, that's when he started running his first marathon, and we were able to touch just a community of supporters that loved to be challenged and really wanted to do something greater. And we saw a huge spike. This was back in 2011.
Gotcha. And so from there, a couple of those events and the cause marketing partnerships sort of converged all into one, and you saw it really helped from there.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about that time you do ask for money. When is that exactly? Because is it right now, end of year?
It is. Right now we have an annual campaign called Season of Promise, where our goal is to build 25 schools in Ghana. And it just launched yesterday. I encourage you to check out the website. But there are currently 75% of our communities don't have structural builds, and really kids are almost learning outdoors under mango trees. And our goal this year is to provide 25 new structures in Ghana.
Interesting. So why just one? I mean, was it that you did 2 or 3, several years ago, and you said, boy, that wasn't working? Because the typical organization would do 2 to 3 to 4 campaigns in 1 year, maybe even in addition to an end of year. What led you to that decision?
That's a great question, and it's actually a new change that we just made this year. So prior to this, we were doing 3 annual campaigns, which were focused on our different programs. So we had a teacher training one that was in graduation season, and then we also have back to school, which focuses on scholarships. While we'll still do back to school just because the messaging is really perfect for us, given that we're an education organization, we found that it's best to always just continue to provide value throughout the year and only make asks at one time when people feel really compelled at the end of the year. It's not saying that we aren't getting donations throughout the whole year, because we definitely are, but I really think good marketing is about telling a story in a way that compels people to buy or sell, or really in our case to donate to the cause. So as long as we're educating our supporters year-round, they're organically giving back. It's fun during this holiday season to have a bigger campaign and an external goal so people can know what we're actually shooting for.
Yeah. When you're thinking about these kind of campaigns, what's the campaign creative process for you and the rest of the team? What do you go through to select how you're going to do this?
That's a good question. There's a lot that goes into it, and we have a pretty nimble, small marketing team. There's 3 of us in total. We have a designer and a marketing manager, but it really starts with the organic stories from the field. We work with our team in Ghana, and we collected about 10 different stories of different communities, and we put faces behind these stories. So we want to know, like, what's your current living situation? What are your current struggles with the school that you're going to? Because while POP does build schools, there are usually current structures that are there that we just enhance and improve. So we build a brand new structure for them. So we make sure we work with communities that are not only wanting education, but also want to invest in it as a community. So there's a lot that goes into it creatively, making sure that our impact is transparent, because impact is so important for us. That's what's been our driving factor since early on, is we're always monitoring, evaluating, and making sure that we're improving upon all of our statistics and our programs.
Yeah, and I know that you've been working with Salesforce to do that, right? And I have on the screen right now sort of your tracking and progress. Bring us through what you do internally to ensure that impact and transparency.
Yeah, so it's previous to our integration with Salesforce, it's challenging because we have an office, our headquarters, we're in New York here, there's 12 full-time staff, but internationally we have people in Laos, Ghana, and Guatemala. So the Salesforce tool, which is a CRM product, has really streamlined the process of communication and impact data. So we have mobile dashboards, which you can see here on the right, and this pulls real-time data. And considering that we break ground on a new school every 90 hours, these constant updates are essential. We have an impact app that tracks school builds, students, scholarships, attendance records, and all this data is aggregated and fed directly on our website, which you can see here at the bottom of the slide. So in real time, we're always giving full transparent data to our supporters. So it's real-time data, and it's just really incredible. that we've streamlined the process across the world like this.
Well, so you have only 12 people that work in the U.S. for you, huh?
Yeah, so we're a pretty small office here in New York, but internationally we're around 85.
And you also mentioned you've got that small marketing team. So yourself, a designer, and one or two more, or just
And just
three?
one more, and a marketing manager.
So do you outsource anything, or is it all done? Are you working forever?
We're working forever. No, but we love it. That's the great thing. Once you find what you do and you really love it, it doesn't feel like work anymore. Even when we go home, we get excited and see new things and are sending each other text or quick messages about, hey, I just saw this. Like, let's try something new here. Hey, I saw this on social. This is really neat. Let's explore and test this program. But we're definitely a lean team. We do use an out-of-house back-end developer for web stuff, but other than that, that's it.
And when you're looking for people, you mentioned a lot of this brand voice, and it kind of goes to this team piece. I take it that you probably spend some really good time trying to find the right kind of person, especially even in the creative or social media team area. They're really playing up that external piece, right, for you?
Yeah, I feel really lucky. We have our marketing manager who runs all of our social media. His name is Carlo Dumondin, and if you've read our book, The Promise of a Pencil, Adam's book, Carlo is mentioned in it. He's one of our longest tenure employees. He's been here since day one, and it's really helped build the pop voice of our, it's restless and playful and idealistic and hopeful. So I feel so lucky that we have a really strong team, including Carlo.
Good. All right, now switching gears to, imagine that I just signed up for an email or gave you my email. What can I expect? I'm the first-time email giver to you. I want to follow your work. What can I expect over the course of the year from POP?
So that's another good question. We're currently working on our email communications, and we're going to start doing triggered emails through an app on Salesforce called Journey Builder. So it really takes you through a different communication stream. So we first like to welcome everyone to POP, like, welcome, this is who we are, this is what we do. And we'll send a couple other communications about our school building programs, our recurring giving program, and then just show you some media from the field so you can get to know what we look like and just our brand personality. The rest of the time throughout the year, we just tell you about different programs that we have. So even though we won't be having a teacher campaign during graduation season, it's just organic for us to tell our audience about how important teacher training is in POP schools and why you should appreciate your teachers domestically. Sometimes we'll send out different emails about the POP book. Adam's book has the paperback version coming out in February, so we'll definitely communicate to our followers that way. And then just some behind the scenes emails. So we try to make it pretty organic, and again, when we do send them out at the end of the year, they are more about our campaign, but the rest of the year it's just communication. And I think email too is a really special communication tool because it's the only one-way communication that you have with your audience. So you have to be careful that you aren't always making an ask. It has to be like any relationship, just telling, learning, and getting to know each other.
What's your view on the monthly newsletter?
Oh, what's my view?
Because everybody's like, every nonprofit probably before you does that or do that right now still. It seems that yours is much more based on the constituent journey, which is kind of very similar to a customer journey for a company.
Yeah, we currently don't do it, so that kind of tells you my view. But I think that our core audience is really on social, and we're talking to them every day. And I prefer social communications to email because social is the only two-way communication stream that we have with our supporters. So it's not only about talking to them and telling them what's going on, but also listening to them and making sure we're telling them things that they're interested in. So right now we haven't explored a monthly newsletter, but it doesn't mean that we won't eventually. I think that there's a lot of things that we can communicate to our supporters, but it's just making sure that we're doing it in an easily digestible way that doesn't get too detail-oriented in the impact. So I guess TBD, but
Yeah.
right now, social's really working well for us.
Good. Well, in terms of if I was a first-time donor, now, because I asked you what if I was a first-time email subscriber. Now, if I'm a first-time donor, what can I expect from you? So I'm one of the 500,000 that you have that contributed money to a school. What happened to me after that?
Yeah, well, because of Salesforce, we have a really great I guess, touch point process. So if you build a school with us, or you contributed to a school, we match your funds to the actual school and keep you updated on the build. So for example, Chegg, who we partnered with, they built 2 schools with us in Guatemala. So it takes about 3 to 6 months to break ground and finish the school after the partnership has happened. And I keep them updated through the information in Salesforce with the before pictures, breaking ground pictures, actual build pictures, community pictures, and then when it's finished. So we do all those touch points and keep supporters fully up to date with the impact that they have.
Interesting. In terms of those that are donating their voice or network or social network, all those different assets they may have, how much of those actions lead to contributions of financial dollars?
You know, I wish it's a metric that we were able to measure right now, but I know it has an impact. It takes, they say 3 to 4 touch points for people to hear your story and be involved until they actually convert. And I think that is so true. Even if it is us asking on, say, like Giving Tuesday, we're going to maybe ask people to donate their voice instead of dollars. We want it to be so organic that our content compels you to give at the end of the day. So I can't say like a dollar amount and how much that returns, but it's really just shown its true colors since day one. Our audience is all on social, and they've been engaging and interactive since the first day, and we're growing quickly as an organization, so there definitely is huge return in social chatter.
Yeah. And I like how you mentioned here that you've done a lot of trial and error, right? So is this sort of part of the culture too, that in the movement building that you're creating, that if it doesn't work, you quickly adjust? I mean, what's been the sort of internal response time to?
Like I feel like every organization really has to find their own formula that resonates with their own individual community. And people that follow POP, we know that they want to be a part of our community. Like I said, we use hashtag #PopFamily. But you find a community and you resonate with them, and it is a lot of trial and error. And even early on with Instagram, we weren't using like our high quality images, and we didn't have as large of a following. But since then, we've been using all of our photos from the field, being really uplifting in our messaging, and have seen a huge increase in our followers since then.
Good. Now, we've been talking about a lot of tools like video and social media. Here's an issue. Do you think you can still create a movement without those? And have you done any experimentation around just like an email or just regular text?
So without any technology at all?
Yeah, using technology, but maybe not images or video. How much has just text been, like, in the word, been persuasive as well?
Oh, I think it's huge. We don't do mobile text marketing, but just in terms of relationship building and storytelling, and maybe this is cheating by me saying text, but Adam's book came out last March, and it debuted #2 on the New York Times list, and we've seen a huge influx of people reaching out, companies reaching out, just by reading Adam's story. It's been one of our strongest marketing tools to date. I guess it also didn't hurt that Adam decided to donate 100% of the proceeds to Pencils of Promise. So by buying the book, you're giving back too. But I think it's a lot of relationship building, and I think that's even stronger than social at the end of the day. If a friend or my husband or whoever is going to recommend something to me or tell me about something and get me excited, that has a lot more weight than me reading a tweet.
How do you identify and or do you have a brand ambassador program for those of your ones that are highly involved with you, either in social or as fundraisers? How are you identifying those individuals?
What we do with our college students, we have pop clubs. So we have a community manager, Caroline, who works on the development team that manages all of those relationships, as well as our fundraisers. So even like Val from Dancing with the Stars is a big brand ambassador for Pencils of Promise. He tweeted for us yesterday, and he has a fundraising page. And we make sure that we have constant communication with them, or giving them the right information to spread the word about POP, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to assist them.
In your POP clubs, they're on college campuses, are they using digital and just organizing, like personal relationships as well?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. They have like a weekly meeting where they ask different people to get involved, and they talk about Pencils of Promise, and then they'll have a big event that raises money for their individual club. We also have a newsletter that goes out to them. So I guess going back to the newsletter, this one is a little more targeted because it's specifically for our POP club, where we provide assets, stories, or anything that they need for them to help their fundraisers.
Right. Oh, so like tools, kits, resources, anything for that.
Yeah, so different assets, images. Here's what's going on right now with our campaign. Feel free to share it with your POP club.
Interesting. And do you find that that these individuals that take on that peer fundraising role, the leader of it, that they have the resources they need? I mean, are there things that you wish you could provide that you can't?
Yeah, I wish that we had, I guess, just more human capital to help them out. That's a big challenge, because we have one person, Caroline, who manages relationships with, hundreds of them. And I wish that we could spend more one-on-one time with each person, really, giving them a debrief on who we are, our brand, here's what we use, here's how you can use it, and just giving them more tools. So if I could change one thing about that, I wish we had more people helping out and managing those relationships. But Caroline, who does it currently, is doing a terrific job.
Good. Well, we have a couple minutes left, so I want to ask you just a last-minute questions here. One is, what's the one big piece of advice you give anybody listening to this about creating a movement?
Oh, that's a million-dollar question. I think when creating any movement, you just have to stay authentic and go back to the question of, why am I trying to create this? What is the driver here? I know that Adam did that early on. You have to reflect, like, why did I start this? What is in my heart, and why am I doing it? And what I'm doing today, is it the same way that I'd be talking and feeling 5 years ago? So just authenticity, transparency, and making sure all communications are organic and never forced.
Good. All right. So before we depart, anything that you're working on that we should take note of? You mentioned we're right in the heavy end of your campaign season for you. Anything else that we should know?
That's really it. Our big focus is our end of the year project, which is building 25 schools in Ghana. And we launched yesterday, so everyone check out the page. It has really beautiful imagery. It tells the story of just the existing communities and why they're in need of a new school structure. And check out our new website. It was built about 8 months ago. It's really beautiful. And then check out our Twitter handles too. We're at Pencils of Promise.
Good. Well, Natalie, thanks so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.